Hey there, everybody. This is Dr. Goldner. We'll be starting in just a moment. All right. All right. It looks like we are live in all the places. This is Dr. Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and today is Wednesday. And if you know me, for a couple years now, I've been doing Wellness Wednesday. Can you believe it's been that long? It's my way of giving back and helping and coaching all of you who maybe can't work with me, who need a little extra help, who have questions, or for what people are telling me, just need that daily inspiration. Well, the daily inspiration from my social media, the weekly inspiration to make sure you keep going and taking care of yourself in every way. And so I like to start out with a topic just to give you a little additional coaching and then hit the questions. And I'm going to do it a short one today so we can try to get in extra questions because it's something I've been talking about online. It was something I just talked about on TV news yesterday. And it's about the motivation changes that you can see. So many of you might have made a New Year's resolution. I hope you did. I think it's great to take time and reflect on your life and make a resolution. Here's how I want my life to be better. And yesterday was officially 2 weeks into the new year. And 2 weeks is when most people quit their resolution. 1 out of 4 people quit in the first week. It's true. Majority quit by the end of the second week. And so I thought maybe some of you might be having some 2-week motivational issues. And I wanted to just remind you that this is normal and it's temporary. So 2 weeks is just long enough to really fully be withdrawing from all the ways of eating and living you were used to. It's often not long enough for people to feel better enough or even sometimes better at all. So that it's like, oh, I'm missing my old food. Brain's having a tantrum. And it's like, look, it's not even working. It's been a whole 14 days, right? And so for a lot of folks, they think it's always going to be this way. That's what the addicted brain tells you. It's always going to be this hard. And so you quit, right? Most people I see for my wellness appointments who consume my free information but still couldn't stick with it, I always ask, how long did you last? It's always 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks, sometimes 2.5. Okay. It's always between 2 and 3 weeks. I'll give it to you that way, but mostly it's 2 weeks. And it's one of the reasons why I created Rapid Recovery, my programs where I work with people every day, was I knew if I could get people through the first month, they could stick with it as long as they needed to, right? So it takes 28 days to build a new habit. So if you're 2 weeks in and it still feels hard, just listen to me. That's normal. It's not going to stay hard. After about 28 days of being consistent, it will become routine and easy. Now, if you relapse, you kind of have to restart the clock. It's like days without incident. You got to have that clock up there. Once you have 28 consecutive days of taking the same action, it becomes a habit. So if you're struggling, just remember that. The hard part is temporary. It will become easy. It will become normal, and it will become your preferred way of living once you stick with it. So I want to go ahead and answer questions today. I want to remind you that my answers can't substitute for medical advice. I'm not seeing you as your doctor. I am speaking to you over a camera into the internet where I can't even see you. So if I'm not your doctor, as I'm not, if you're just seeing me online, I can't give you medical advice. I'm going to give you the best suggestions I have from the experience I have. But please talk to your doctor before making any big changes to your diet and make sure that you don't have any issues that prevent you from being able to do those safely. Sometimes people's medications, sometimes people's organ failure, like heart failure or kidney failure, can affect their ability to eat and drink in the way that people who don't have those issues are able to do. So make sure you do that safely if you haven't worked with me personally to monitor you through that process. All right, let's go to the questions. All right, so I see, let's see here. So Jill K wants to know on YouTube, will eating 1 ounce of nuts a day counteract the omega-3s in 2 tablespoons of flax oil I'm consuming while I'm hypernourishing? Potentially so. It depends what your goal is, okay? If you are a healthy person just trying to maintain good health and you have 1 ounce of nuts a day and you're also getting 2 full tablespoons of flax oil, there's a good chance you're going to just maintain your good health, no problem. If you're trying to improve your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio by increasing your omega-3 intake higher so that you have a higher omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, then every time you have those nuts, you're kind of offsetting how much of that improvement you're getting. So maintaining health, you'd probably be fine. If you're trying to improve health, then I would likely either take out nuts temporarily or maybe boost up those omega-3s a bit more, maybe have another tablespoon a day. All right, Elizabeth has questions written in multiple parts, but she starts with a celebration, so I'll post that because you know how much I love celebrations. Here we go right here. Let's see. So this is coming over from YouTube. All right, let's see. And what it says is, hi, Dr. G. I'll start with a celebration. My neurologist said, goodbye hypothyroidism, and reversed her labs to good. No need for the Synthroid she was previously prescribed. So I guess your neurologist is on board as well. And I'm so happy. It's one of the most common things I help people reverse is thyroid conditions, especially hypothyroid, the most common autoimmune condition really that I ever see. Now, let's get to the questions here. I was diagnosed with MS in 2016, and I have been in a wheelchair for the last several years. Hardly any mobility. I've yo-yoed with the Goodbye Lupus protocol several times, and I experienced great results the first couple of times when I was on plan. But I kept going off plan when I smelled or see tempting items. I've been on plan this time for 29 days, except for the 96 ounces of water daily. That consumption has me in the bathroom almost nonstop. Depends are essential. And getting on the toilet is challenging. I have struggled to see improvements this round, although my cruciferous spinach and flax oil is far more than in the past. Even my hub says, you must be doing something wrong because my results are nowhere near as remarkable as before. I strongly suspect the lack of mobility, and 35 instead of 96 ounces of water is a huge problem. Please help. My husband flipped when I mentioned attending rapid recovery. I may ask him about one-on-one. Okay, so let me go back up through here. Right. So first of all, I'm glad that my protocol has been so helpful for you. I mean, you started back a long time ago. You know it's effective. You've had great results before. So that rules out, or at least helps you stop a lot of the mind chatter people often have when they're struggling to get results. It's hard to like, what if I'm different? What if I can't do this? Right? You already know that it works, but you didn't stick with it, right? So when you relapsed, you kept undoing your results, right? And that means your disease was allowed to progress. So one of the issues is going to be that your disease is much farther along now than it was those other times you applied the protocol. So you applied the protocol and you got better, but you weren't as sick as you are now. So one issue might be that more damage has been done over time. And there might be some lesions that now have scarred over that maybe were not scarred over when you first started doing the protocol. So they were inflamed, but as soon as you started eating better, the inflammation went down, mobility went up, felt better, and then you ate badly, and then they inflamed again, and finally they just scarred over, okay? That's possible. But we don't want to start with the assumption that you just can't heal those things. We want to assume that things are inflammatory and do everything we can, right? So the next thing is it possible that the water's holding you back? Absolutely, right? The protocol involves all three parts. The hypernourishment means you are getting that pound or more of the cruciferous vegetables a day, that you're getting in the flax and chia seeds a day if you're trying to heal, a half cup a day, right? And that you're getting 96 ounces of water a day. If you're doing less of any of those things, then you're not on the protocol, right? But you're on a modified form of it. So for people with multiple sclerosis, a lot of times they have issues with their bladder because of the neurological issue. And especially when you're in a wheelchair, that can make it excruciating because you're drinking more water, but then you have more incontinence. And then you're trying to get out of the wheelchair, maybe to get onto a toilet or however sometimes people have to self-cath or whatever they're doing. It can make it very, very difficult. So what do? Well, I usually base it off results. So if doing it with the 36 ounces of water isn't working, then we have to game plan around how to increase that water intake, right? Even if it's by maybe 10 ounces at a time, to see if you can find a sweet spot where you may continue to get results, even if you can't get the full amount. And if you can't, then we might have to keep planning about how do we do that, right? So the first thing I would be game planning with you is how do we get even small increments more of water intake, even if it means more urination. I can't solve the fact that what goes in must come out. I can't solve that. Definitely folks with MS who have either mobility issues or incontinence issues struggle the most with the water, and people have different preferences on how to deal with it. I have some people who are like, that's fine. I'm just going to, if I have to change my pants, 4 times a day, I'm doing it. And other folks are like, I cannot handle that. I'd rather go slowly with the water and see where I get to that sweet spot. There are other things that can weigh in. There was a woman in my rapid recovery group who had MS and was wheelchair bound and was doing amazing, was able to stand up out of her wheelchair by halfway through the group, was feeling incredible. And then she had this big fight with her husband and was back in the chair. And she revealed to us that he was emotionally abusive to her. And she realized in that moment, I can't heal married to this person who's abusive to me. And it was a breakthrough that she needed to, one, see that the protocol works for her. And when she eats right and does self-care, her body could still heal. And two, her emotional health and her relationships had a major impact on her health. And she had to do something about that too. So the other thing I'd be looking into with you is, what are the other aspects of your life and how are they affecting you? I can understand that your husband might balk at a price tag for rapid recovery or something. But when it comes to the cost, one, I mean, it's your health and your life. So if it's something you need, I can't think of something that's more important. And most people who've done the program tell me it's way underpriced because they got their health back and their lives back. But if that's something that's too much, then maybe one, you start with the free advice I'm giving you right now. And two, maybe you could do a follow-up appointment. You can always book an appointment for 75 minutes and keep doing it on your own as best you can. And then when you come to see me for your appointment, then we'll be able to go over everything you're doing, what your results have been, and I'll be able to give you a plan to follow on your own. And, that costs way less. So there's other options you could do. You can also book something with my husband as well. But those are other options that you have. Okay. Hopefully those help you solve them. And of course, anyone else who's listening who has a similar problem. All right. Let me see. Victor wants to know, thank you for everything you do. Could Goodbye Lupus protocol help someone with autobrewery syndrome? Thank you. That one, I don't know. So for those of you who don't know what autobrewery syndrome is, you're not alone. I didn't know what it was last year. The first time I heard somebody who had it was last year, and I went, what is this? So autobrewery syndrome is a syndrome where people have an overgrowth of yeast. Usually it's possibly bacteria, but usually yeast, where they start turning carbohydrates into alcohol, and they end up being diagnosed because they're staggering around like they're drunk, and they are, because they're producing their own alcohol. But I mean, I've been in medicine for decades, and I've never heard of it before. So it's exceedingly rare. My understanding, because I've never treated it, my understanding is you need to do something to kill off the yeast with a medical treatment to kill the yeast off in order to get well. Now, why did they get it? I don't know. Usually when that syndrome comes up, it's associated with other medical conditions like diabetes, for example. So my protocol could help people with the underlying health conditions, but I don't think that could substitute for killing off the yeast with medical treatment. So that's just what I can tell you from what makes sense to me, but I haven't worked with someone directly who has it. But it's a very interesting phenomenon. Okay. From what I read about it, people often really suffer because people think they're drinking, and even their own physician can think that they're drinking, and they don't think that, oh my gosh, they're actually producing their own alcohol. Really bizarre, right? Okay, let me see here. Let me go over to Smoothie Shred. All right. Let me see. So Steph Mancher wants to know, hi doc, I've been following the program as closely as I believe I should be, and my proteinuria seems to be going up and down. I was sick for a bit, and then it went back down. Can fluctuations happen early on? 100% since January, 90% since mid-November. So I don't know when the fluctuations happened, but if you've got a kidney condition, 99% is usually not enough. 99% means 1% of the time you're doing things that don't help your kidney, and that alone can make it go up and down. I've helped people reverse kidney failure. I've published getting someone off the kidney transplant list. I've done that many times. I just published the first one that I did. I've helped people get off of dialysis. It's possible sometimes when the kidneys are still able to recover. Sometimes we just look to decrease dialysis. Someone going from 3 days a week to 1 day a week, fantastic. Sometimes people need dialysis because they have 5% of their kidney left, but their energy comes back. They can work again. Their other labs change. I know how to help kidneys, okay? And kidneys are extremely sensitive. And I've learned this by working with people over the years and reversing kidney disease. And what I found is even one bite of something inflammatory can tank someone's kidney function. And I know this because usually people in kidney failure do rapid recovery with me, where I watch them every day and they get labs once or twice a week. And so I see labs going up, 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 and then one bite of fish, boom, labs are down to where they were 2 weeks before. That was one client recently. So if you were only doing it 99% up until now, that 1% could be the reason. The other thing that can happen is if your kidneys are sick, they're sensitive not only to what you eat, but also to any other stressors in the body, including medications that you might take, including like diuretics. Diuretics can tank kidney function. And also things like illness. So you get a cold or flu, that can affect it too. If those are the case, and when you stop the offending thing, whether it's a medicine or whether it's the flu, and you recover, then it should come back up again. So those would be the two things I'd be looking at for you, Steph. Okay. You're welcome. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so Myra Engel wants to know, I ate 1.5 cups of flax seeds most days on the Goodbye Lupus protocol. That's a lot of flax seeds. Plenty of avocados, unlimited flax oil as a dressing, and I did not gain weight. Unlike on a clean keto animal-based diet where my jacket fit too tight by the end of it. I didn't lose weight either, but I wasn't exercising. Where do the excess calories go if they're not turned into fat? And if I eat more than what my body can use towards healing? Does this apply to all plant fats or just omega-3s and avocados? So that's a great observation. So again, what Myra's saying is that when she was eating a clean keto diet on animal products, she continued to gain weight. But yet eating tons of flax seeds and avocados, flax oil, didn't gain weight at all. Where did the calories go? The most important thing to understand is that the calorie model is not very useful. So the calorie model assumes that anything that you eat will be burned for energy or stored as fat. In fact, calories are a measurement of heat, okay? So it assumes that everything you eat will be burned off as energy or stored as fat. Now, that assumption is completely incorrect because we don't actually burn or store everything we eat. Some things we eat get burned for fuel, for sure. And there are some things that we eat that get turned into other things in the body, not fat. So for omega-3 fatty acids, for example, they get immediately absorbed into cellular membranes, which improve your metabolism, cellular function, cellular communication. They get turned into the membranes around nerve cells, and they improve cognition and memory, as well as neurological function, help people with neuropathies, multiple sclerosis, ALS, other conditions that affect the nervous system. They also get turned into immune cells. So they get turned into the anti-inflammatory immune cells that get that actually help you return to your baseline, as well as other functions as well. So the things that you eat don't only get turned into energy or fat, but some things get turned into hormones, immune cells, cell membranes, etc. So that's the problem inherent to that model. And that's why I always tell people don't worry about calories, because they don't really make much sense. If you look at calories alone, you could think 100 calories of kale and 100 calories of pizza were the same thing. But I think when I say that, you can see that that's ridiculous, right? Because 100 calories of pizza, you've got dairy and grease and sugar in the sauce and in the dough and all this stuff, right? Like that is unhealthy. 100 calories of kale, you've got complex set of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, oh my, right? You've got all of these amazing phytonutrients that are going to build up cellular health and metabolism. Do you think if you had too much kale that you would get fatter? What if you had 10,000 calories of kale? Would you get fatter? The answer is no, because kale cannot form body fat. Kale forms cells. It has all the micronutrients we need for cellular health and cellular metabolism, whatever, and fiber, which we need for our gut health, immune health, and other things. So all of these things, and then the excess goes into our stool, and that's it. So omega-3 fatty acids, they become cells, they become immune cells, they become the membranes around cells, they become many things. But the one thing they don't become is body fat. And that is why you can have excessive amounts of it and you'll get a faster metabolism. It helps with things like weight loss when you apply exercise. It helps with rapid healing, but it doesn't make people fatter. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you who are looking at food that way. I know it's a hard thing to let go of because I know I was trained in that too. I was trained in medical school that, if you want someone to lose weight, you cut back on their calories, because if they have less calories than they burn, they will lose weight. If they have more calories than they burn, they will gain weight. It works to a point. But when you're doing my protocol, you can have more calories than you burn and you will lose weight when you exercise. Why? Because those foods were not being used to create fat. So that is the science, Myra. Now, if you add exercise, you will find that you can burn fat faster than you ever have before. All right, let me see. All right, Sana says, hi, Dr. Goldie. I got a nickname. I have dermatitis. It's itchy on my breast. What is the reason for this? I'm a lupus warrior. Love from Pakistan. Okay, so love to Pakistan. Now, where is this coming from? So dermatitis is nidus. That means you've got inflammation in your skin. So the same thing that will help you with reversing the SLE lupus is going to help with the itis as well. The other things to consider on top of this, on top of just nutrition for recovery, would be to make sure there's nothing irritating you topically. So I don't like when people use regular soaps. They destroy your microbiome of your skin. They dry it out, and then you have to add lotion, but then a lotion oftentimes has alcohol, and then that irritates it even more. So that's why I like things like olive oil soap and shea butter. I have my favorites on my Amazon list, but those are things that I would add to it. If you find that eating certain things creates the itch, then I'd be looking for maybe a food you might be allergic to. Okay, let me see here. All right, and all right, that's 3 from Smoothie Shred. Let's go over to Instagram. Hello, Instagram. Let's see who's listening live today. Hello, Elegant Classy Timeless in Canada. All right. Ed Change 85 wants to know, hello, curious if you'd share your opinion on colonic treatments for cleansing. Thank you. I don't have much an opinion on these because I haven't ever tested results in people with and without them. So what I can say is I haven't ever needed them to help people recover. So that's number 1. 2, I have, again, I like results better than anything else, but there is, I'll say there's a potential for disrupting the microbiome when people do too much cleaning of the colon, because you can rinse out and alter microbiome, but I don't have results to say that that has caused a problem in people. So I hate when people just assume things versus actually showing results. So usually what I say when it comes to colonics is if they're helping you, do them. If they're not, probably don't need to. My expertise is on what you put in your mouth. I'm really good at helping people figure out what's useful going this way. The other way, I don't have the experience and the results to tell you what would work best. Okay, let me see. Anne-Marie, 34-year-old female, diagnosed with melanoma yesterday. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I have a rush appointment with you in March, but any suggestions for me until then? Getting surgery soon, but I'm having a hard time mentally. I can only imagine. It is a horrible feeling to know there's a cancer growing anywhere on you or in you. It's a very scary thing to get diagnosed with. I'm glad that you are going ahead to get surgery, because I think personally, if it's growing on you and they can remove it, because melanoma is potentially aggressive and fast growing. And so that helps you get ahead of it. The other things that you need to do, besides listening to your dermatologist and your doctor, who is the one who's actually seen the cancer and is removing the cancer, that's the person you want to listen to. They actually can see you and what's going on. They have results they can share with you on what they do for other folks. The other is take care of yourself. Listen, when you're diagnosed with an issue, whether it's cancer or anything else, one, we have to make a game plan for what do I need to do to optimize my ability to recover and get well right now. So that would be your surgery, seeing your doctor, right? And 2, nutrition, right? Nutrition does help people fight cancer, right? It's not considered a treatment in our country. We can't say that it is, but we do know nutrition affects the development of cancer as well as the body's ability to fight it. As I've mentioned in other lives, we know that certain foods like cruciferous vegetables, actually only cruciferous vegetables, have been proven to kill cancer cells right there in the petri dish. How? One ingredient we know of, there may be more, is an ingredient called sulforaphane, pretty much only found in cruciferous vegetables, and will kill cancer cells in a petri dish. So one of the things you should do is hypernourish, right? Omega-3 fatty acids is going to bring down inflammation, optimize your ability to recover from surgery quickly, and to help your immune system fight back, right? The right water intake optimizes cellular function and immune function. So my protocol is perfect to support you with recovering from the surgery and helping your body fight back against any microscopic cells that maybe get left behind after the surgery. So that's the first thing you need to do is, what do I need to do to optimize recovery? I'm going to work with my doctors and I'm going to optimize my nutrition. I would go full Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol, actually, okay? On top of that, why I said Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol, not just Goodbye Lupus protocol, is because that's the one that incorporates the emotional well-being. Your emotional state affects your health, even with cancers. So making sure that you have self-care built in to say, okay, I have this thing and I'm doing everything I can. So I get to just be present and enjoy my life. Do not let your mental health go with this, okay? It's important to let yourself mourn. You found out yesterday. Cry and scream as much as you need to get that out. Talk to people who make you feel good and comforted, okay? And then you have to come back to, they found it, I'm still here, I have treatment, I know how to eat, and I'm gonna live my life. And if you can do that with the right self-care to keep yourself grounded and present, you're going to get through this and you won't have to lose your quality of life even while you're battling this condition. And I'm sending you my love. I hope that you're feeling better really soon. Okay, let's get another one over here on Instagram. Hello, Diana. Happy Wednesday. Let's see. Hello, Manali. Let's see. Okay. So Jay Levine 63 wants to know, are any grains or bread allowed on your program? So it depends on what program you're looking at. If you're hypernourishing, absolutely. Hypernourishment is about what you add to your diet, right? Because what we have found is that people's health is more dependent on what they're missing usually than even all the bad things they're eating. They're just missing the ingredients to repair the damage. So hypernourishment is key to help your body get healthy and stay healthy. Make it a way of life, right? It's my way of life. I am a hypernourishment person for perpetuity, okay? Even though I'm healthy for over 19 years now, that's just a way of life, right? So that's hypernourishment. The Goodbye Lupus protocol is all about eating only ingredients that accelerate the repair of your body to get yourself healthy as quickly as possible. And so that does not include grains because they are often inflammatory. It depends on the one, like rice is inflammatory, processed grains are inflammatory, and they're not necessary for recovery. If you don't know the difference in all of these things and you're watching right now, my guess is that you don't know the protocols yet. So the protocol is written out in detail in my book, Goodbye Lupus Protocol. It's a short book. It was meant to be something where you could read it, get inspired, know what to do, and take action, okay? That's one. But also, I teach the Goodbye Lupus Protocol in my online classes, and for the next 5 days, they're still online for free as my holiday gift for all of you and my New Year gift to get you going in the right track in the new year. So go ahead and watch them and learn the protocol, watch the case studies, and see how it works. And then you'll have the information you need. If you're on Facebook, I encourage you to join our Smoothie Shred group because there we also use the guides. In Facebook, there's a guides section, and we use that area to update things. Anytime we have updates in the protocol and clarifications, we use that as our place where we keep things the most updated. Yes, we're well, Diana. Thank you. Back to you. Let's see. And Holy Healed says, do you only focus on high intensity training or do you aim for 10,000 steps a day? I don't count my steps. I don't have a special watch for that or anything. I do workouts that are boot camp workouts. So they're strength and conditioning workouts. So my workouts are an hour and they include weightlifting and cardio all mixed together. So often it's what we call circuit training. Well, it'll be maybe 3 different circuits. Each circuit has 2 to 3 exercises in it. All of them are different body parts with weights. But then, so the circuit training itself is high intensity interval training because the heart rate's going the whole time. And then we will also usually run laps or push a box or do something in between them. So it's pretty hardcore, but I don't count my steps. If I'm out of breath and sore, then I know I'm doing well. All right, let's see. All right, let's go over to regular Facebook. Here we go. All right. So be careful, those of you who are writing your comments. For some reason, it gets cut off here. Let me see if I can see the full one by just going to my Facebook page. One moment, I want to see, because one of your questions got cut off, and I want to see if I can read the whole thing here. All right, let's see. One moment, please. Okay, it's not letting me see it. Okay, I'm going to do my best. Amy, because you're first, says, hi, Dr. G. Thank you for all the information work you do. You're welcome. I had ITP in 2016. It was put in remission by rituximab in 2017. Urticarial vasculitis in 2019. No meds worked, but I went into remission in 2020 when I took time off work. Now, September 2024, my ITP and vasculitis came back. Plus, I tested positive for Sjogren's. I started your Goodbye Lupus protocol mid-December when my platelets were 70. This morning, I saw my hematologist, and they're 26. He gave me dexamethasone now and IVIG next week. Have you? And then it cuts off. But I'm going to fill in the blank and hope that I got it. If you're wondering, have I seen ITP reverse in a protocol? Yes. Actually, my rapid recovery group, we've seen it every time, that the platelets just come back by the end. So it definitely helps with platelets, but you have a lot going on here. So you can see that you tend towards inflammation, whether it's your platelets, whether it's vasculitis, and then now possibly Sjogren's. So you're on the right protocol. Make sure you're going all out on it. Maybe switch to Goodbye Autoimmune protocol if you need to. And if you're still struggling, of course, make an appointment with Thomas or myself so we can make sure you're getting everything right. Okay, let's see. Another one from Facebook. Melanie Johnson wants to know, hi, Dr. G. Funny question. Do you take your blender with you when you fly on vacations? I don't know that that's funny, but it's a good question. No, I don't. I don't usually take it on a plane. Now, I have some clients that will do that, especially if they're right in the middle of trying to heal and they prefer smoothies over everything and they like their blender, they will take a blender with them, whether they take a small NutriBullet. I know Vitamix now has a smaller one. I think it's called One. One of my clients said that she likes for traveling. If you travel, you have to put the carafe in your luggage that gets checked because it has a blade in it. So I personally don't do that. Listen, I have been lupus free for over 19 years. I don't need to have a smoothie every day, everywhere I go. So when I travel, depending on how long I'm gone, I might do things a little bit differently, but usually what we do is we just, as soon as we get to where we're going, we go shopping and we keep food in the hotel so we can eat our food. Or like in my last trip, we just do an Airbnb so we have a home that actually has all the tools that we need, but we just eat a lot of those foods. So I can easily eat over a pound of veggies a day, just raw foods, we'll go and we'll get cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, a big thing of guacamole, and we just scoop and eat and do it that way. So I personally don't typically do that when I'm flying. Okay. Crystal Nicole says, hello, what are your suggestions for breakfast, oatmeal or just a smoothie? I recommend that you start every meal with nourishment. So when you get down to it, and the reason why our protocols are so effective in reversing disease and also maintaining people's health, slowing down the aging process, all the things that it does, is because we really get down to the nutrients your body uses for cellular repair and cellular function. So you have about-ish 100 trillion cells, right? And the only opportunities you have to provide nourishment to your body is when you eat. So every time you eat, the best thing you can do is to make sure that the first reason you eat is to nourish yourself, and then let your taste buds have fun as a secondary thing. So I like to have the green smoothie be the star of the show. And then if you want to, and you're still hungry, you can add something like oatmeal if you feel like it, especially if you're just hyper-nourishing. I'm talking for life, right? Same with other meals. Have a big salad, maybe throw some chickpeas or quinoa on top for flavor versus just a bowl of grains and beans without getting the nourishment that you could have gotten from having your salad and maybe having some chia pudding and other things. So if you want to maintain great health, my suggestion is that you hyper nourish and feed your cells first, entertain your taste buds second. All right, and that will bring us back to YouTube. Let's see here. All right, Lady Light says, I'm encouraging a friend to buy a blender because her blood pressure is dangerous. Yeah, it's a good thing to do. She might also need medical treatment if her blood pressure is dangerous. High blood pressure can burst a blood vessel in the brain and cause a stroke. So oftentimes when it's dangerously high, they do need medical treatment while they're working on doing what it takes to get themselves healthy. Thankfully, with my protocol, especially the full Goodbye Lupus protocol, usually blood pressure is measurably down within the first 3 weeks. Oftentimes people have to lower blood pressure medicines who are on 3 just to try to maintain their already high blood pressure from going any higher. So it's a great thing to do, but make sure she's also getting her medical help as well if you can. It's hard to make a friend or anyone else do something that they don't want to do. All right. IL says, can you eat lots of avocado seeds and soy without gaining weight? Because if you're low carb or exercise a lot, for example, Chef AJ's added a lot of fats like avocados to gain weight and it's working for her. So I just explained all of this, right? That adding fats don't make you fatter, and even adding tofu won't make you fatter. That's just not what those foods do. My guess is, well, I don't even have to guess. Chef AJ has said that she's expanded her diet a lot. So that may be some of the reason that she's gaining weight. She's expanded her diet a lot. Remember also, she's recently done things like water fasting and other things that cause weight loss. And so when you're eating more, especially when you've been in a more starved state, that can cause some weight gain. But it's not just, avocados and things like that. So, all right. All right. Lisa wants to know, hi, Dr. G. Have ME/CFS patients been successfully treated to remission? I've seen chronic fatigue discussed, but not ME/CFS. Does the activity tolerance slow the healing process? So yes, absolutely. I usually call it chronic fatigue, but most people who come to me have that diagnosis, ME/CFS, and they get better. Usually, especially when they're doing rapid recovery, when I can be on top of them to make sure that they're optimizing their diet, they're optimizing their sleep, and that they're moving as much as they can. And those things do work to get people well. We're also working on all the emotional stress and making sure that they get into a place where their emotional health, their nutrition, their sleep, everything about their lifestyle supports them getting better as quickly as possible. Okay, let's see. Ms. Cryer says, question, once Hashimoto's in remission, do we reduce the iodine intake of 300 micrograms to 150 micrograms? Thanks. You would reduce it if you no longer need to take thyroid medication, then you would reduce to the normal intake, the 150 micrograms a day, if you no longer require any medication for your thyroid. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Laura M, do we need to balance our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio? So we want to improve our omega-3 to omega-6 ratio for optimal health. So what that means is our health, especially the health of our immune system, is largely related to the balance of our omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids, because the omega-6 fatty acid pathway is where we develop our inflammatory immune cells. Now, inflammatory immune cells are important, right? If you watch my online classes or read Goodbye Lupus, you know that your inflammatory immune cells are important for you to function well. If you get a cold, if you get an injury, you get this increase in your inflammatory immune system because it's its job to go and handle that. The problem is that when you eat excess amounts of omega-6, as most people do, especially in Western countries with the meat and the dairy and the processed foods and the oils and everything that they're doing, then you actually get excess production of the inflammatory immune system. And that can cause it to go haywire and cause other diseases and syndromes, right? Now, your omega-3 fatty acids are the key ingredient necessary to create our anti-inflammatory immune system, among other things that I explained in detail earlier about all the things that omega-3s do, right? So in order for us to have optimal immune health, so if we just look at the immune system alone and not all the other things that these omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids do, that what we have found through research over the years is that people who have really healthy immune systems and don't have chronic diseases tend to have a ratio of about 9 to 1, 6 to 3. So it's not balanced, right? We're not 1 to 1, but anywhere from 9 to 1 to 1 to 1 seems to be a safe range of 6 to 3. Now, 6 and 3, neither of them are produced by the body. We can only get them through eating. That's why they're called essential fatty acids, because we cannot create them, we must consume them, okay? So these essential fatty acids come into our body, and like I said, just looking at the immune system, they can become inflammatory or anti-inflammatory if they're 6 or 3. So what we're trying to do is improve that ratio. Back when studies were first done, they found that oftentimes Americans had ratios of 40 to 1, 6 to 3. I have seen folks over the years who had as much as 200 to 1. So that is why hypernourishment works the way it does. One, because when you take out the excess omega-6 fatty acids, you have greater conversion of the omega-3 fatty acids that you get from flax and chia seeds, but also because we are trying to restore that ratio to the right ratio. Okay, let's see here. All right, Jay Holloman. Hi, Dr. G. I have AS, and we found out that when we were trying to have, we found out while we were trying to have a baby via IVF. I have been trying for 4 years. I've been on your Goodbye Autoimmune protocol and 45 years old. Is it still possible or out of reach? I don't know if you're asking me if it's possible to have a baby or if it's possible to reverse the AS. Yes, it's possible to reverse AS. We have results from that in my rapid recovery group. One person I've been in touch with over the years who has stayed symptom-free ever since she did rapid recovery many years ago. In terms of a baby, you would have to talk to your doctor about that. But we have seen dramatically increased fertility in people on our protocol. There are people who have gotten pregnant who were told that they could never have a baby, multiple. We call it the oops that happens sometimes after rapid recovery. We also had someone who posted in our smoothie shred group that she had had all of her kids through IVF and had her first natural pregnancy after doing our program. So for both of those things, there's always hope. Okay, let's see. All right, so we did that one. Let's go back over to smoothie shred. Let's see here. Okay. Matthew Thomas wants to know, when you initially healed, what was the omega-3 supplement you used, and is it okay to put it in rotation with flax and chia if not on your healing protocol? So back early days, so back, this is 2005, the first omega-3 fatty acid that we tested was actually fish oil. So not the supplements that people use in capsules, because we proved those were oxidized. So my husband actually used to teach about the omega-3 fatty acid pathway, and he actually even did grand rounds at the hospital where I was training for the medical interns to teach them about the omega-3 fatty acid pathway and why the supplements and pills are not very effective. So he opened up the capsules for them. He opened up the medication capsules so you can get prescribed omega-3 fatty acid, which is just also still fish oil, and they open them up and they're completely oxidized. And so what we realized is omega-3 fatty acids oxidize so readily from heat and air. The only way you could guarantee that it's intact would be to buy the liquid fish oil that was cold sourced, pressed, nitrogen out of the bottle, and kept in a refrigerator. And so originally I had to drink that stuff. And we made our clients do that too. It did work for reducing inflammation. The reason we don't continue to use that is multifold. I've explained this in other Q&As. Number one is it's absolutely disgusting to drink pure fish fat out of a bottle, I gotta say. It took me weeks to even build up the nerve to do it. It was that gross. Number two is we would see side effects at times. I had some folks that couldn't tolerate the fish oil. They would get bruising because fish oil, it is a direct source of EPA and DHA. Okay, the flax and chia seeds start higher up in the pathway, and your body converts what it needs into EPA and DHA. But the fish oil goes directly to that, and so it acts more as a blood thinner. And so there were folks who were getting bruising just all over the place. And that was a problem. I had one client who every time she used it, she'd have blood vessel bleed in her eye, and she didn't even have autoimmune disease, right? So the side effects could be troubling. It was gross. And then on top of that, it's not sustainable. So we care about the impact of things on people's health as well as the impact on the planet. And what I read, I read this decades ago, is that with the overfishing happening in the ocean, there's not even going to be fish soon in the ocean. So it seemed like it was a very unsustainable, unappetizing, and potentially risky way to get the omega-3s where we needed them to be. So we started looking into alternatives. And what we found is we could get the same exact results without any of those side effects using flaxseed oil and flax seeds and chia seeds. And that's why we converted. Could you do that sometimes if you wanted to? I guess you could. But I personally don't see any benefit to doing it, and potentially some negative things that could come from it. All right, let's see. Shelly wants to know, Shelly Kira's, hey, Dr. G, does the flax oil that is in the Nooch dressing lose its potency after being in the refrigerator for a few days? Yes. So when you have the flax oil in the bottle, it is when you buy it cold pressed, they do that same process. They cold press it, they'll put nitrogen in it and seal it. And then that means it's an inert gas. It keeps it from going bad. And when you open it, you let the oxygen in, close it again really quickly, you put it in the fridge. So you try to keep it cold. You try to keep it protected from air. When you put it into a dressing, it's exposed now. So it has a lot more oxygen that's been put into it. And so it does break down. Now, it's less potent in terms of the omega-3, but there's not really any harm that's happening, and you can definitely use it and enjoy it, no problem. So I usually, especially in rapid recovery, consider the oil in the dressing as bonus omega-3, because it's not exactly the same as just taking it off a spoon or putting it into your smoothie where it's protected from heat and air. So it's kind of sitting out exposed to air, right? So I think of it more as bonus O3. All right. Jocelyn Bell Mackin wants to know, has there ever been someone who's had full recovery following your protocol for Parkinson's? I've only had 2 people work with me for Parkinson's. One did my 4-week rapid recovery, and he was able to actually have physical reduction in shaking and lower medicines at the end of 4 weeks. So that was pretty cool. He did not continue on, though. He did it, his neurologist wanted to test my protocol. And so he did it, and then he went back to eating meat and other things, and his symptoms came back immediately. Within the first couple of days, everything came back. His last thing he said to me was, I'm going to try again, but he didn't keep in touch with me. So I don't know what he did from there. So he wasn't fully recovered, but dramatically better. I had another guy who had already was plant-based, and then we added that, and it's been years, and he has not progressed. So that's been a really good thing. So yeah, I haven't had enough people to see the full gambit. From the results I've seen, the sooner the better. I mean, with anything, but especially neurological conditions. Okay. All right. So Elizabeth Allen wants some help, says, Dr. G, I've been in a lot of pain since Saturday due to kidney stones. Oh, those are very painful. Yes. My husband hooked me to the emergency room and said I have 2 stones on either side. I know you said many times that vegetables do not cause stones, but I forgot what you said. That they do cause stones. Okay, so let me explain a bit. I have done other videos on this, but you're acutely in pain and suffering, and let me help you. Okay, so generally speaking, the reason people develop kidney stones is actually from high meat intake, which makes the urine very acidic. That causes more stones to come out when the urine is acidic, and being dehydrated. If you have less water and it's more acidic, then the stones are more likely to precipitate out. They're more likely to come out of the solution and form a stone. All right. It's kind of like when you put, just as an example, this is not exactly the same, but if you put a certain amount of salt in water and you can stir it up and it disappears, you can't see it. But if you keep adding more salt, but not more water, eventually it will form a pile at the bottom because it can't dissolve anymore. Well, it's kind of like that with the stones. Okay. So those are the 2 biggest reasons nutritionally that people can get those. Okay. Now, when you switch to adding a lot of vegetables, even cruciferous vegetables, do they have oxalates in them, which are ingredients in the stones? Absolutely. But what they found is that it actually decreases kidney stones when people have them. Majority of the reason why is because when you eat vegetables, it alkalinizes the urine, which makes the material stay in solution better. The alkaline environment keeps it from precipitating out into stones. They've actually done a clinical trial where they had people with kidney stones, and what they did is they took the vegetables away from one group to see if that decreased the stones. And what happened is they all got more stones, not less. So it proved that it's not really the vegetables causing the stones. And in fact, vegetables can protect you from stones. So when you add things like hypernourishment, you're going to have more alkaline urine, and you're going to have more hydration, and that should help protect you from stones. And so for most people that I see who have a history of stones, they go away when they do my protocol because they are so hydrated and nourished, and their urine becomes very, very alkaline. Now, there's a very small percentage of the population that has a genetic predisposition to developing oxalate stones, meaning anytime there's oxalate in their system, it's going to turn into stones because of this deficiency. It's exceedingly rare, very, very rare. But for those folks, then taking in more oxalates could cause more stone. And in those cases, I just say, okay, the most oxalate-rich veggie is the spinach. So if you're prone to stones, just take the spinach out, but keep all the rest of them and the hydration. And that's the best way you can go. Most people who develop stones that are, while eating more vegetables, they already have a pre-existing condition like diabetes can make it more likely. Kidney failure can make it more likely. But those folks are already off spinach anyway because of potassium. People who've had gastric bypass, it's more likely. But otherwise, what I just told you would be the answer. And I hope you're feeling better soon. Okay, let's see here. Jenny Lynn wants to know, if you're already plant-based, how long does it take to feel less stiffness in your joints from RA? I'm 1 week in with adding omega-3 smoothies and water. I don't know, Jamie. I don't know how long it's going to take you. So if you have arthritis, then in spite of your diet, you have a lot of inflammation in your body. Now, is that inflammation there because of other things that you're eating that are still not healthy enough? Or is it because you're malnourished for the foods you need for cellular repair? If it's the second one, then adding in true hypernourishment will fix the problem. And it should fix it pretty quickly. You should start feeling a difference within a couple of weeks, I'd say, if you're doing it correctly. If that doesn't do it, if you give it like a month or so and you're not feeling better, then switch over to the Goodbye Lupus protocol completely. Okay. Laura Cox says, thank you. Last week, you answered my question about staying raw on vacation. And when you started answering my question, I had tears in my eyes. It made me realize how much I desperately want to stay raw. You gave me a whole new perspective on what's important to enjoy when traveling. God bless you. Thank you. I am so very glad that that's the case. Yes, enjoy your life. And veggies are the key to doing that, right? Eating well is the key. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go over to Instagram. Okay. All right. Charlotte wants to know, hi, Dr. G, can you have kimchi and sauerkraut on the Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol, and how much? Also, how does someone do the Goodbye Autoimmune protocol when they're pregnant with horrible symptoms? Thank you. First question. Kimchi and sauerkraut are not a part of the Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol. The protocol is specific to nutrients people use for cellular repair. I often will let people have small amounts of those items. Kimchi, be careful, there's no fish in it. Typically, a little bit of fermented cabbage for your sauerkraut does not have any negative impact on you unless you have, some kind of allergy issue, mast cell issue, something like that. So typically people can get away with some of it, but I don't really recommend it if you're really sick and trying to get this down right and want to make sure it's working for you. It's better to stick with the basics. And then when you're getting results, you can add it and see if it continues to give you results or give you a problem. It's just the safest bet. When people are sick, to me, it's best to do what's going to work best. But yes, typically people can tolerate some of that. If you are pregnant and you're sick with autoimmune disease, doing my full protocol is essential. I don't know how far along you are, but you would continue to eat until you're full, no matter how far along you are. So people who are raw vegan have children all the time. That is something that happens. And you can totally do it. You would just eat more food. If it's very early on, you don't need to make any changes to the protocol. I mean, often in the first trimester, people think, oh, I'm eating for 2. No, you're not. The second one is You're eating for you, right? But as you go, hopefully you're feeling better so quickly that if you want to, you can add other things like some Ezekiel bread or other step down foods. But if you're actively symptomatic, then you want to do the full protocol and just increasing your food amounts as appetite goes up. There's no upper limit to the food. People can eat 30 ounces, 40 ounces of cruciferous. They can eat more omega-3s. They can, you just would increase as it goes. And if you're struggling to do it, then meet with me and let's see what we can figure out to make sure you're getting it all right. But that's the basics of what's going on. And I hope you're better soon. And realize when you're feeding yourself that way, you're feeding your growing child the best nutrition to create the healthiest cells. And that's why the babies of people who did my protocol while pregnant, like full rapid recovery pregnant, their babies are amazing in terms of health. It is, we've called them the green Hulks now, because what they'll tell me is out of all their kids, that's the kid that is the healthiest, the strongest, the smartest. Omega-3 fatty acids during pregnancy has proven to increase the IQ of the baby for the reasons I taught you earlier, right? There's a theme about it actually creating the cellular membranes around your nervous system. So it's only going to be a benefit to both of you. Okay, hi, Liz. All right, Manali, I-24. I have autoimmune disease and I got breathing issues. I hardly eat food because I have dry mouth. Please, how to reverse this? I've got issues, stomach ulcer, burning pain. Oh yeah, you're suffering so much. Okay, so the information I give people is on how to reverse disease using supermarket foods. So if you're not eating, then you're going to have to rely on Western medicine to get you into a condition in which you can eat. I mean, I can't feed you if you won't eat, right? That's number one, is how do you get the food in? If one of the issues is dry mouth, maybe the smoothies would be the best way to go because it's liquid and it will lubricate your mouth, right? So maybe you start with just doing green smoothies. Even if you have to do 2 blenders a day and get all the nutrition in, you can start reversing your issues and improving your health right then. In terms of the ulcer, it just really depends. I mean, I just talked to someone a little bit ago. Hey, you said you're going to be watching, who said that her gastritis from GERD went away completely when she did the Goodbye Lupus protocol, and then it came back when she went off of it again. So that might be the answer. If you find that it continues to burn when you're on protocol, then maybe splitting up into smaller doses so you don't overfill your stomach can help, so you don't create that pressure on your esophagus. And if you need help from your doctor in the meantime, then take it, whatever it takes to get you to the point that you can eat the food you need to get yourself healthy. All right. Jay Levine says, it took me a while, but the program has worked great for me. I'm so glad. You got to give me more details. Tell us what you got better from. Let's see here. All right. All right. Serenity Organization. Any guidance for alopecia areata in a teenage male, please? So I've actually helped people with alopecia areata reverse it. What usually works best, I find, is a combination of doing the full Goodbye Lupus protocol. You really need to get the nutrition right, and the hair starts to come back. So that's number one. And I think, well, I definitely know that it works faster when done in conjunction with treatments from the dermatologist. So typically they will give something that's an anti-inflammatory cream and some kind of Rogaine or something, and they usually combine those two, sometimes one in the morning, one at night. It depends. You have to talk to your doctor. I haven't seen the issue. So, and the full protocol. And we've had folks where they were continuing to get lesions and those lesions just went away. So that is something that you can do. Also, just make sure that, talk to them. What other stressors are going on? Are they doing anything inflammatory? Are they eating a lot of inflammatory things? If they're eating pure junk, teenage boys tend to do that. Teenagers in general don't really think about their health typically. You could always start out with whole food plant-based and adding hypernourishment and all of those kind of things. But we've seen the greatest success doing it that way. All right, let's see. And Nia Lachlan, 2016. Hey, Dr. G, I've been struggling with iodized salt. It's been raising my blood pressure high. Will this subside? How should I take it? Does the water in my chia pudding contribute to the 96 ounces? I don't usually count the chia pudding water. With the blood pressure issue, that's one that freaks people out all the time, especially, in the first 2 weeks. Oftentimes when people first add the sodium and all the water, they'll see some increase in their blood pressure and then it comes back down. I recently did rapid recovery with a physician, with a doctor, a primary care doctor, And she was freaking out too in the first couple weeks, and hey, if you're watching, she's doing great now. But when it first started, she goes, I can't have salt because of my blood pressure. And I told her, this is rapid recovery. I'm watching you. I'm telling you that this is going to be, so in the beginning, if it's going high, you still use your medication to control it, right? And that's what she did. But then after the second week, her blood pressure dropped, and then she didn't need that medication and has continued to be low ever since, because now her blood vessels are relaxed. When you first start doing this protocol, your blood vessels are probably still unhealthy. The reason you had that blood pressure go up is because of health issues, whether it's kidney issues, whether it's heart issues, whether you've got blockages from, that it's a hardened artery from all the saturated fat. So when you first add salt, that causes your body to hold on to more water, which then raises your blood pressure, right? But it's not because salt is bad for you. It's because having more water in your blood system exacerbates the pressure issue, right? But as you continue to take amazing care of yourself, then the pressure comes down because the blood vessels relax, kidney function goes up, heart function goes up, right? So if it's going, you didn't say by how much it's going up. So if it's still in a range that's safe, you watch it. If it's high, you let your doctor help you figure out, what your medication needs are. Oftentimes the best thing to do is to say to your doctor, what is the blood pressure range where I need a medication, and what blood pressure range should I stop it? Because a lot of times what happens is people's blood pressure comes down so much they need to adjust or stop medications, or it goes too low. So getting that information from your doctor, since I'm not watching you, would be the best way to go. All right. Woo! That hour went by quickly. Well, I got to get going. I have to study so many people's health histories and make plans, because we have a rapid recovery group happening next week. We've been sold out for a while now for the January group. We do have people enrolling for the wait list and for the March group. But I like to study each person and check them over and see what's going on with them. And so I'm going to go dive into that. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you who will be in my next group. And for all the rest of you, remember that today is the best day to take care of yourself. So is tomorrow too. But I hope you all do that. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.